All right. So this past weekend, I had to go to my mom's house because I forgot my hydro flask there over the previous weekend, and I couldn't go another week without my comfort water bottle. It was tough. Here's the OG, man. This is what it's all about. But as I was there, my mom and my stepdad had just dropped off my little brother off at college the day before, and we were talking about just how he was doing, how they'll think he'll adjust, and how they're empty nesters now. And it just really got me thinking a little bit about my childhood. And it's funny, within minutes of me being there, they started having this random conversation about the thermostat, and I was immediately taken back to a time when I would be struck with absolute fear if I heard the phrase, "Who touched the thermostat?" And typically, it was always my mother yelling out how hot it was in the house, and my stepdad would yell back, "It's supposed to be. It's summer." You know, that's just what would happen. And of course, they'd have the same exact conversation in the winter about how cold it was, and my stepdad would just reply the same thing: "Wear a sweatshirt. It's supposed to be cold. It's winter." You know, that's just what you would always get in my household. The temperature was never just perfect. It was always something you had to deal with. Now, if I ever dared to touch the thermostat, I would just be in deep shit. And the next week would be filled with a little fun daily task called Daily Chore of the Week, where I'd be tasked with scrubbing baseboards or pulling weeds or a lot of other fun things because I touched the thermostat, you know? I'm costing money to these people. But thankfully, looking back, I can at least see that this was a rational fear. There was a consequence to me touching the thermostat, and as an adult living in Las Vegas with 100+ degree summers, I now completely understand his point. Like, it's fucking expensive. The power bill goes up in the summer, and it's a lot of money, and like, it just sucks. Like, yeah, wear some lighter clothes. My house is pretty hot, I would think, compared to most people. So I don't want to turn down the thermostat. But what about all the other irrational fears we had as children? And when did they all just kind of like seem to disappear? So today, I'm going to share some common childhood irrational fears. And who knows, maybe some of you forgot that you shared these fears as well. And I get to terrorize you one last time with the haunting thoughts of these irrational fears. So first we have turning on the overhead light in the car while your parents are driving. Now, if you ever did this, you better get ready to kiss your life goodbye because you are headed straight to jail and getting locked up for the rest of your life. To this day, if my fiance is sitting next to me while I'm driving at night and she turns on that overhead light, looking for something in her purse or whatever it is, my heart just starts racing. I'm getting flustered. I'm rushing her like, come on, did you find it? Like, what are you looking for? Turn off the light. And it's completely just made up. It's not a real rational fear. I don't know what it is, but it just completely puts me on edge. And I think this is just passed down by generations simply because you never got over this one as an adult. Like, you just accept it and thrust upon your PTSD onto your child, and that's why this irrational fear of turning on the overhead light in the car just keeps trending forward. Like, there's just no reason for it. Anyways, it gets my heart pumping when I'm in the car. I'm just instantly like reaching up for it. I gotta turn it off quick, man. I gotta. The next one is watermelon seeds. The first time you accidentally eat a watermelon seed and an adult notices or you tell them, get ready for just this Academy Award-winning display. They'll slowly turn to you, their eyes widen, and they just say, "Oh shit, you just ate a seed?" Then they'll rest their hand upon your shoulder, look down at you, and say, "It's gonna start growing inside you." And then panic, man, just panic overtakes you. all the things I still wanted to do in my life as a boy, I never got to do. I thought there would be more time, but no, it's over just because you were reckless and eating everything in your path. You couldn't see the seed, and boom, before you know it, you swallowed it. It is just fear. You're going to have this watermelon stomach. What's going to happen? How is it going to get out of you? Do you need surgery? It's horrible. But wait, the adult, they're laughing. A glimmer of hope. You're miraculously saved. The clouds part. A ray of sunshine shines right in your face. You're going to make it, kid. It was just a prank after all. And that was just a horrible, horrible time as a kid. Like, no wonder you couldn't wait to grow up, because you just had to deal with all of these irrational fears of something like a giant fruit growing inside of you. Like, how horrific is that? Now, there are a couple other irrational fears pertaining to things that you eat. For example, swallowing gum. Say see you later to that little guy because he's hanging around with you for 7 more years. He'll be with you at your first dance. He'll be with you for your first kiss. Hell, he may even graduate college with you. That little piece of gum just copped a free ride, and now he's just your problem to deal with. Instantly, you just start asking people, like, am I going to be okay? Is this 7 years thing, is it really true? And to this day, no one really, like, I don't really know if it's true or not. I'm assuming it's not true. I've never actually looked it up. I am actually someone who chews a lot of gum, so I hope it never comes to this situation again. But who knows how many freeloaders that I've still got with me from years past, man. Like, I don't eat it, but I chew a lot of gum, and this was a fear. 7 years if you accidentally swallow a piece of gum is just crazy. I don't know how we justified this or where this came from, but it was insane, and you'd be caught with a lot of fear, man. If that accidentally happened to you, you'd be done for. Some other irrational fears about food could be a worm in an apple, for example. Now, I've never seen this in real life, but every cartoon growing up, it was apparently this huge problem at the time. I've never seen it. I don't know how it happens. You would think that you'd see the hole where, like, where does the worm come in from? You know, like, it doesn't just grow up in there. So why didn't you see that? Why are you just instantly biting into every apple that you find without looking at it or washing it, for that matter? But pertaining to fruit as well, one thing that I was always told was you're gonna get scurvy, and they'd say this all the time because I never really ate a lot of fruit as a kid. So growing up to eat more fruit, my parents or family or just adults in general would say, "You're gonna get scurvy, man. You're gonna get scurvy. Eat this fucking grape," or whatever it was, you know? They'd say that, and I'd be like, "What the scurvy?" You know, like, I'm not a pirate. Like, that's who gets scurvy anymore in this day and age? That's insane. I don't know. It's crazy. Or how about razors in Halloween candy? I don't know who you're living next to, or who's even doing this, but this is pretty crazy to me. What a sick freak in your neighborhood to do this. You live in, most likely, a suburban neighborhood, and you're really only trick-or-treating on where you would feel comfortable, right? But you're trick-or-treating around your neighborhood, and you think someone is out there to kill all of the children? Like, that's just insane. How often does this really happen? Your parents would check all of the candy before you ate it. Like, that was just, didn't make sense. Anyways, enough with the food. Another popular irrational fear was quicksand. Like, everyone thought they would be face to face with this event at some point in their lives where they'd be drowning in quicksand. But I don't know how you get yourself into this mess. You've got minutes, and there's nothing to reach for, and there's nothing to grab. There's no twigs. There's nothing. There's no branches. You are just doomed. Now, if I ever got caught in quicksand, I'm living way too much of a dangerous, adventurous life, and I deserve to be gone. I deserve to just end it right there because I'm putting myself in that situation. The same goes for poison ivy. I guess this one's a little different, I'll admit, but I would assume this is actually much more of a fear for an actual kid who grows up in like a forested area. But for me, growing up in the desert, like this is just crazy. Like how often are you really coming across this stuff? And who's just going around just touching all of these plants? Like it's just wear some closed-toed shoes and a pair of jeans and you'll be set. Like don't be such a weirdo. Problem solved. Like stop just going out there touching stuff. Who does that? I don't know. But yeah, those are some crazy irrational fears as kids. Now, a little bit more closer to home, let's talk about the pool. We had a pool growing up, and for some reason, an actual fear of mine was a shark getting into the water. I could just literally envision this great white just at the opposite end of the pool, just gunning it for me. And I need to get back to that surface as fast as possible in order to snap back into reality, man. Like it was just fearful. And I don't know how the shark got into the pool, but when that fear kicked in, like literally you could just justify anything, I think. Like a plane was flying over and there was a malfunction and a crate dropped out of the plane holding a shark and the crate busted open and it landed perfectly into the pool. And now this is your problem to face. And you know what? I don't know how. Let's say that happened, right? But who knows? Who knows what was going through your mind? All you know at that moment is that it's life or death. And in the quiet stillness of being underwater and you envision this shark, like you need to get up there, man. You need to get up to that surface and you need to get there quick. One fear that my own mother actually instilled in me was getting cancer. Now, this was not typically how you'd think one would get cancer, but I remember drawing on my arm one time with like a Sharpie, for example, as a kid. And she told me, don't do that. It'll give you cancer. Now, I don't know why the hell she'd say that. I don't know the justification behind it. I actually called her out on it one time, and she won't admit to it. She said she doesn't remember it. She doesn't know why she would ever say that, but she did. She fucking said it. And I always thought growing up, like watching other kids do it in school or something, I'd be like, oh shit, like it's game over for them. But as an artistic kid who loved to draw, occasionally I would sneak in a nice little smiley face in a place where my mom wasn't gonna see it. And for me, it must have been the same rush of doing something bad, like rebellious, like smoking a cigarette or something. I was like, damn, like I am a rebel. Like watch out, because I'm yatted. It's game over. I've chosen this lifestyle. Actually, the lifestyle chose me. If I get cancer, I get cancer, but that's it. Another parent-caused fear was accidentally hitting the internet button on your flip phone. Now, to all the Gen Zs out there, as teenagers, we had flip phones, Blackberries, Sidekicks, Razors, things like that. But it was not a smartphone. And every cell phone had this tiny little internet button with a little globe on it, like the internet button, I guess. But you had to pay extra in order to use this button. And at the time, it was just not a common thing for one to just search or use the web, I guess, on your cell phone. It just was not commonplace. It was a lot more money on your cell phone plan. But occasionally, as a kid, like your first cell phone, you would accidentally hit this button and panic would just set in. Like you knew you had seconds in order to not get charged for this. And you better get to going, because your thumb better be so pressed down on that back button that you're worried about breaking the phone, because your parent was about to beat you the next time that phone bill was coming, because you'd be charged with internet usage. And it was a fear. It was a fear that you accidentally just pushed one button and boom, you'd be you'd be like, oh fuck, sitting on the bus ride home, you'd be freaking out. What am I gonna do? I better start packing my things and move out because I can't afford this lifestyle. Now, this fear obviously came when you were a little older, preteen years. The only other irrational fears that I came across during that time, I think, was like the FBI warnings before movies. Like, you were getting some serious time for that. Imagine yourself watching a movie, you make it through the opening credits, and before you know it, just boom, you're on the floor, SWAT team rushes in, you're handcuffed, you're being read your rights, you don't know what the hell is going on, but you couldn't have deserved this. But somehow, next thing you know it, you're sharing a cell with a guy who turned on the overhead light in his mom's car, and it's just your life's over. Like, you don't know what you did. You put something into the VCR and you were done for. Or how about the first time after watching the Truman Show with Jim Carrey? You're giving everyone double takes for the first few days after. Like, you think somehow you are just so important because somehow your life is being fabricated and you're a 24-hour TV show. But I remember thinking, like, could this really be happening? Like, what the hell is going on? I'd be looking at elevators and stuff to see if there was like some prop changes going on in the background. But yeah, real fear, man. That was crazy. Really makes you think. But before we get carried away, let's take it back a little bit to our earlier years with something a little bit more common, like the monster downstairs or the monster in the basement. Now, at night, the second you turn those lights off, you better be hauling ass up those stairs, because that monster is mere inches away from snagging one of your ankles and dragging you down. Like, that was horror. And you're doing everything you can. You're leaping stairs, you're skipping steps, and before you know it, you finally made it to the top of the stairs, and for some reason that just means you're safe. I don't know the justification behind it, but the second you're upstairs, you're fine. That monsters can make it up all those stairs except for that last one. But that is until you make it into your bed. Now, if any inch of your body is not covered by that blanket, leaving it open and freely available for that monster to grab it or consume you, like somehow the monster made it up those stairs and is now at the foot of your bed or under your bed. But if your blanket is thus leaving a foot or anything exposed, you're done for. That's just it. You're screwed. So you would just tuck in and be ready to go, man. If you were hot at night because the thermostat was too high, like, you're screwed. You're sweating this night out. It's just rough. But like, I don't know what the hell was going through our little minds. It was at that time, it was just chaos. Like, you could have been afraid of anything, and it was just crazy. So many things were going through your head. I think that's why you just wanted to grow up and be an adult so bad. It was just, you had a lot more rational things to be afraid of. But one thing I wasn't afraid of that I should have been was the microwave. My ass would come home from school, pop in a Marie Callender's chicken pot pie, put in that little 5-minute, 7-minute, whatever it was, and then all of a sudden I would be gluing my face to the edge of the microwave, just waiting, watching this little pot pie rotate 360 degrees over and over again. There was just no fear of me getting any radioactivity from this microwave. I would literally get in the microwave if I could, like, it was just a place I wanted to be. I don't know what came over me as a kid, but I had to be watching that food get ready. Another similar thing was, like, I guess just really any screen, for example. I would be always so close to the screen, and like, that's a common thing, I guess, for kids, but a lot of older generations would be like, your eyes are gonna burn out of your head. But I would get as close to that TV as possible. I remember when I was really small, I had bunk beds, right? And I would always typically sleep on the bottom bunk. It's a lot cooler down there. Heat rises. So, but in this little bottom bunk, I had this little nook, and I could fit this TV just perfectly in this nook. And every morning I would watch TV with it being, I don't know, a foot away from my face. And this was a big TV. This was probably like, it's probably like this big, right? Like, it was a big TV. And it just, I was literally so close to it that I would just be all consumed by it. I don't know. Maybe that's why I like advertising so much, because it literally consumed my entire vision every morning. But it was wild. I don't know. It was crazy. It was just a crazy time. Well, anyways, I'm glad I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. Now, like I said, fears are just, they're just more realistic. They're kind of boring. Like they're not as exciting. It's failure, lack of money, being alone. It's nothing cool like random spontaneous combustion, Like that. What a way to live, But I hope you too have conquered a lot of these fears. This was kind of fun going back and reliving all of them. If you have any irrational fears as children, I would love to hear them. I think it's kind of a fun topic to talk about. But yeah, that's it. What else? Week went well for me. Pumpkin spice season is back. Shout out to the homie in the office who grabbed me the pumpkin spice cold brew on the first day. So that's exciting. But other than that, good week. Yeah, no complaints really. Just chugging along. Really focusing on discipline right now. Reading a good book. Listening to a good book. Listening to a good book about discipline, and just trying to stay focused. Trying to keep chugging along with everything I've got going. So I think that's it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And like I said, I hope you're not living in constant fear like we used to be. We're gonna get through it. I think with age, you just get a lot more wisdom. I think we've all got a little bit more time to conquer these fears and think a little bit more rationally. Thankfully, we're not eating watermelon seeds as much as we used to, but if so, we know everything's gonna be all right. So thank you, and have a good day.